classic movie banter.
Hey, mate, how you going?
I'm going pretty well.
You're going pretty well.
It's been a week.
It has been a whole week.
It's been
Can you imagine it?
whole week.
I can't imagine it.
What have you been up to? I want to know.
What have I been up to? I've been watching a couple movies. You know, some of the new ones. It's blockbuster season, so we've had a big couple ones drop recently. What else have I been doing? I've been checking out Sydney side. Actually, I went on a run recently from. Have you done the classic Bondi to Coogee walk? You know, there's that classic trail.
No, I have not.
Mate, I would recommend it because, you know, unlike other jogs, like there's a lot of people who do it. It's a very popular one. So you know when like you run by yourself, like you're walking on the street, right? And you run by yourself, and like, you know, you pass someone, and like you're panting, and they're like walking normally, and it's very awkward. When you do it from Bondi to Coogee, it's normal because like everyone's panting, everyone's so exhausted, so like you don't look embarrassing at all. Like,
is it like a mini marathon? Would you call it? Would you like? Would you
It
class it
is.
as that? Is there that many people that do this regularly?
the reason people do it, I think, is because it's so photogenic. Like people stop to, and I'm putting up air quotes, to take photos. So like whenever you run out of breath and you're like, I need to stop because I'm about to die.
So you fake it. You pull out your phone and you take a photo of something. Like,
and you look so good because you're covered in sweat, so your body shines. And like,
oh, so you're saying selfie? You're saying photo of yourself?
yes.
Oh, I was just gonna say someone taking photos of an
See, that's probably what
inanimate
most people do.
object. Yeah, well, that's what I do. I just don't. But you know,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, I can see the purpose though of like being like I'm gleaming with sweat, and I'll look good. Let's turn that camera around.
Ooh. I hear you, man. I hear you.
But keeping fit.
Yeah,
That's
keeping
good.
fit, man.
Yeah, man.
You know, you got to, like, what? Like 22? Like, that's a good age to start, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I hear, like, people...
I'm waiting till no, I'm not. Like I run
You're waiting
pretty
till death.
regularly. Yeah. I'm waiting till at least 45. No.
Yeah.
No, I run pretty regularly.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good fun. It's good to run. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a good week.
It's been a good week. What have you been up to?
Similarly, I've been exercising a lot. Actually,
Oh, really?
I've
Wow,
run,
look at you and me.
I've ran basically the last 6 days. It's insane.
You ran 6 days in a row.
Yeah, dude. Dude, I'm feeling it today. My left calf muscles been weird. Let's just
Thank
say
God this is a sitting medium. Like, if we were to do this podcast standing, you'd be like, nah, fuck
and
off.
I'm in a real nice fucking swivel chair at the moment. And
you
I
look
have
like
to say-
you look like a really rugged up Dr. Evil right now. Like,
I'm just envisaging what our amazing viewers or listeners are envisaging at the moment of
You're
a
like-
rugged up Dr. Evil.
because you got your little backwards cap on and you got your
I
knitty
just
sweater because it's winter in Sydney. So
I just need a hairless cat now. Yeah.
yeah, that's all you do. Did you see the other day that Mini Me passed away?
No.
Yeah.
No, I did actually.
How
yeah.
sad's that? Yeah.
It was bizarre. I remember.
What a bizarre thing this
But
person
it
to
was.
pass.
I was thinking because I'm not really emotionally attached to that series, necessarily. I like I haven't seen the movies enough to
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
we should do an Austin Powers episode.
We should. I mean,
Yeah.
like I've seen Goldmember probably the most. Out of all of
okay.
them. Yeah, like that's just because that was the DVD we had.
Oh.
So I'm not, but I did enjoy it. Like I do enjoy those movies. So I was kind of like, oh man, that is sad. But yeah, it's not. Yeah, I don't know. It was bizarre. I was kind of like, oh, that's weird. I didn't know that person was of that age or whatever. You know, it's just. Yeah, I didn't even know how he died, to be honest. Yeah,
Neither. Yeah, I mean, but he was excellent in those movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
when you see it,
was.
like Austin Powers, I think was like the first M-rated movie that I'd ever seen before. Like genuinely.
yeah. I think it probably was mine as well. Like, in terms of comedy, yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
I remember I was at my mate Taylor's house. We were over for a sleepover. It would have been like 8 or something like that. And he's like, let's put on Austin Powers. I didn't know what it was, and he put it on. And there's a scene where like him and this Bond girl are in a tent, and like the bad guys are standing outside the tent, like trying to figure out how they're best going to attack Austin Powers. And you can just see their silhouettes of him and the Bond chick. And like he's like unpacking his suitcase, but the way their silhouettes are, it looks as though he's pulling stuff out of her ass. And when you're 8, that is the funniest shit you have ever seen.
I think I watched those movies. I think I watched Goldmember when I was around 6 or 7. I think I was younger. Yeah.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It explains a lot, doesn't it? Yeah.
It really explains you as a person, Brent. Like I really get you now, mate.
But apart from the running, been playing some PlayStation as well. Played the new God of
nice.
War. That's been.
Oh, have you? How is that, mate?
It's probably. I was saying this to my sister. I think it's probably one of the best written video games I've ever played.
Really?
Yeah, in terms
Have
of
you
story.
played Last of Us?
Yeah, I think
Was-
it's. I think the writing's better than The Last of Us. As
Wow.
using the medium, I think Last of Us is a great story, simple story told really, really well.
Yeah.
But I think it could be a film at the same time. Whereas I think God of War, like, I don't know, like, and mainly because I think like the writing really stands out to me in that game because of the world building is just so apparent, I guess.
Yeah.
And Last of Us it is as well, because like, you know, yeah, but let's just say they're both at that top level of. But for me, yeah, God of War, I was like, fuck, this writing for a game, like it's really pushing the
Damn.
medium forward. Yeah,
I'm
so
very keen.
I can recommend.
I'll give that a play.
I have some issues with it, obviously, but they more stem from the gameplay.
But we're not a video game podcast,
Yeah,
Brenton.
exactly.
We don't pick apart video games.
Exactly, but
We're a movie podcast, I tell you.
yeah. And speaking of movies,
Yeah, we saw a movie this week.
speaking of yeah, let's move towards that classic movie banter.
So this week, we've gone from the sporting drama Rocky to the comedic Animal House, National Lampoon's
yeah.
Animal House. This film, what was this film made? Like the
It was 1978.
1978, set in 1962. And Brenton, can you pitch me this movie?
I can. So National Lampoon's Animal House is about two frat houses, two warring frat houses that are at war. They are the Deltas and the Omegas. The Omegas are kind of the classic, I guess, prep boy, high society, let's say, frat house, or like to see themselves as that. And the Deltas are just there for the best time, and don't worry about anything else. And so basically the Deltas have gotten hot water with the university and are on probation as a fraternity, and need to make improvements so they can last as a fraternity. And it is about them coming together to live life to the fullest and to take on the Omegas.
To have some mad times, brah.
To take on the Omegas and whilst having a good time.
A very good time.
That's how I would describe
good
it.
Good pitch. You know what? If I was a Hollywood executive in Elevator and I heard that pitch, I'd be like, that pitch has been done before a lot. But I'd be like, I'd want to see that movie.
But if it's 1975,
if it
or
is
whenever this was pitched, like...
Yeah. If it was 1975, I would be like, yes, that hasn't been done before. Let's do it.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like my pitch is... I feel like my pitch isn't the movie at the same time.
No. No.
So I wouldn't call it a
This movie can be summated
pitch.
to like a couple words, which is just like... college boys do dumb shit, the movie.
And so with that, let's rip the Band-Aid off.
Holy
and get
shit,
into
this film.
I do have to preface before we get into it.
Yeah.
First, the only thing is, Nathan and I didn't watch this film together.
No, we didn't. We were both busy, so we saw it separately. Normally, we like to watch the films together and then immediately talk about it afterwards. I saw this film last night. Brenton saw this film a couple of hours ago, and we know nothing about how we feel about Animal House.
So let's rip the Band-Aid off. Nathan, thoughts and feelings.
This film's bonkers. It's the stupidest movie I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's the dumbest, I don't know, like, where do you start with a film like this? It has no narrative. It's literally just a collection of scenes. I think this film is just honestly John Landis just like grabbing like the most talented young boy actors he could find in Hollywood in like the mid-70s, and like they were just telling stories about shit they did at the weekend or like when they just got out of college, and he's like, fuck it, we should just put that in a film. And that's what he's done. It's just a collection of the most... It's so stupid, this film. It's so dumb. It's so misogynistic. It's so anarchic. So many of the jokes' like core like thrills are like so outdated. And yet I love this film so much. And I also hate it at the same time because of what it represents. But like I love this film. Brenton, what do you feel?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that was really interesting to hear you say that. I'd say I'm similarly in your camp. The more I think about it, the more I don't like it. But I will say that, man, it is bonkers. It's a movie that's kind of in excess. It's in excess. It's craziness. It's stupid. But at the same time,
stupid.
like at the same time, there's moments of like comedic genius in this movie. I'd say, like genuinely, I think there's moments that are quite smart in terms of the humor. But then they're juxtaposed by this fucking stupid shit that,
oh my God.
that you're just like assaulted by.
It's relentless. It's just like there is no real narrative in the film. Like there is no plot at all. It's just a collection of scenes of just boys at college.
I would say it's a group of like vignettes that are linked together by like the simplest of stories, if you can call it a real story. It's not
really a story. There's no stakes. There's no character arc. They're all the same at the end as to when they started. Like the fat one's still annoying. Like the leader is still a prick. Like the headmaster's still a dick. Like
it's for me, I'll say this in the non-spoilers section, because I think, for me, like, it reminds me of two films.
It reminds me of a lot of films, but go.
It reminds me of, and surprisingly, these aren't frat-boy films. The other film that it reminds me of is actually Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. Yeah. Because... And it's that thing of like, this movie's made. It's so obvious this is made in the 70s, by the way. It's like a bunch of guys have just. It's like, and I'd say Meaning of Life is probably a better film. The more I think about it.
I agree. By the way. Yeah.
But it's that thing of like that excess of like, we can finally put naked women on screen. We can.
They're so excited about it.
We can do, and it's like a movie built around that. Like,
because what didn't this film like pioneer like the frat boy genre in that kind of sense, like that, or something like that? I think it was like one of the landmark films that started this type of movie. And like, because I didn't know walking in what this film was rated, as in like is it like PG or M and that kind of stuff. And so there is nudity in this film, and there is coarse language in this film, and when it hits you hard. And this film escalates very quickly, and it goes from like light college pranks to like I can't wait to talk about all this on spoilers, but like if this film was released today, like
it wouldn't be released today.
It would not be released today. That's the thing. It was a very, very different time, and like some of the pranks, like air quotes, that they do are just straight up like terrorism. Like domestic terrorism is like half the shit that these boys do in this film. And like, I'm just sitting there watching it, like enjoying it, like in the same way you enjoy like car stunts, like how they all crash on top of each other.
Yeah, it's like Jackass or something like that. It's
hugely. In fact, that's a really apt comparison to make. So like, so let's talk about some of the characters in this film, because
I mean, where do you start? Let's start with Kent, as in Kent is the larger boy, and
sorry, I'm not PC with my names.
Kent and Larry. Kent and Larry. So the fat boy.
It's funny because you meet them in the opening scene, and this is not a spoiler, but they're not the main characters, and I thought they were going to be. Not really. Like,
I mean, because again, like in terms of like we've seen a lot of movies, and we've read a lot of books. Like you tend to start, I guess, like understanding like the narrative arc of something. Yeah. And so you go, these are like two guys that are kind of down on their luck. Like this is their start point, and then who knows where they're going to be by the end of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then it's not that.
It's really not. Because it shifts to the leaders, who I think are more interesting people. I really love the way the characters dress in this film. I'm going to show you something right now. I literally, as the film was going, I literally screenshotted one character in particular and the outfits this character was wearing, because I'm like, he looks so fucking cool. Yeah. I want to look like this dude when I'm like
for our listeners, we're looking at pictures of the character
Otter.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Otter. Otter's so fucking cool. I'm like, I wish I was Otter. You know what I mean? He's such a cool dude, and like he's got like the girls, and like he's like the dream. You know what I mean? Of like what you want to be in college and that kind of stuff.
I don't know what you mean. I don't want to be anyone in this movie.
No.
I don't like.
If you have to say they're all terrible people, but if I had to choose one, it would be
on
Otter.
both sides of the matter, like on both fraternities,
yeah.
on all the teachers. There is no one.
No one is good.
No
in
one's
this film.
good in this
There's
film,
no good-
which is where comedy comes from is like conflict. So like that's fine, but fuck, man, like
there's no ounce of realism at any point in this film at all.
not really.
No.
I mean the realist
Even
thing,
the reactions to some of these pranks just aren't realistic. Like this is a heightened reality. This is
Yeah.
this is an alternative world that you are stepping into. This world in the 1970s
it's like going into the mind of a 14-year-old boy.
and going, "What do you expect to do when you become an adult?" And he's like, "Oh boy, I think I'm gonna see boobs and do all the drugs and I'm gonna maybe kill an animal. Who knows?" So like, it's
like a 14-year-old boy that like hasn't had any emotional maturity like in his life. Like he's still 6 years behind, like like emotionally. Yeah,
it's like there's like boys you see in like advertisements on television, and they're like, "Hey man, what's that new toy you got?" And it's like, "It's the new skateboard from Patel," and like it's like that kind of thing. Where like it's like, "What do you want to do?" It's like, "I want to kiss girls," and like. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so outdated, this film.
But at the same time, like I agree with you. Like I still enjoyed most of it.
It's still fun to watch.
Yeah.
But like in more for me I found it intriguing, like a history lesson, because I'm like, is this what people thought in the 70s being wild was like? Because their definition of wild, I think, is way more insane than what we have today. Like,
Yeah.
we should clarify. I've been to college. I did 2 years of college, in my first years of university, and it was, out of all the colleges on campus, it was one of the more wilder ones. And like the things they do in this film are like radically way more extreme than what we would do in real life college.
Of course, like I was thinking the same thing. It's again, it goes back to this. I had this thought, and I remember the point I thought it, and I was going, this shit is another level from
It's
like
like-
anything that I've ever like seen, heard of, that's happened in our time.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And isn't it weird that like
And it's not surprising though. Like it's
no,
not.
you could have gone a lot. Then again, you can get
I'm
away
not-
with a lot more back then.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not shocked. I was like, oh, where are the security cameras? Oh wait, they don't exist.
They don't
like,
exist.
like you know what I mean? Like yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I know, and the fact was like they can't just text each other like to meet up. Like there's like just how they like logistically had to like socialize back then. Like that's interesting. This I'm sure our older listeners will be like, just shut up, millennials. Like this is like, I guess like they lived in a time without phones, but like. The reason I don't think this movie holds up is because if you strip away all the like the 70s tropes and that kind of stuff, the story should be interesting and stand on its own in the same way that in the same way that other films do stand on their own. And when you strip all the 70s tropes away and all the pranks away, there isn't really an emotional thing to invest in.
I might say the second film this reminded me of, because I think the second film this reminded me of, I'm thinking of films In Excess, and a film that really succeeds in it, and I think there's a point to the excess, is The Wolf of Wall Street.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, and there's some horrible, like, again, like morally reprehensible things that are done probably in both those movies.
Yeah.
But like again, I think Scorsese is like getting at something in that movie. Like,
Oh, he really is.
like it really, like it's capturing something and not in the same way as this. That. And not that it needs to. And even though Wolf of Wall Street, I guess I'd say it's a drama, but a lot of people see it as a comedy. Like,
yeah, it's one of those weird ones.
yeah, but I think some of the best comedies can have still have. There's a reason to that excess. Like the film, like Wolf of Wall Street, the way that movie moves, the way its characters are so full and like three-dimensional, and again, I'm not offended by this movie in any means.
No.
Like I watched.
Some points I am a little bit.
I mean, yeah, there's things that like you'd probably raise an eyebrow and be like, "Oh God!" Like
what that chick says to that guy on the football court at the end.
yes, I mean,
I was like, where did that come from?
I mean, yes. I mean, like, there's things that I go, like, I personally just don't, one, really find
How
funny.
no one bats an eye when that
But-
prank in the principal's office
But hey,
happens.
yeah, if you find that funny, that's fine. I'm not really offended by the fact you find it funny. I
If,
don't.
so-
If
if
this film-
someone today laughs at every single joke in this film, then they're sadistic because like there's some fucked up stuff.
I don't
in this
know.
movie.
Like, if someone laughs at every joke in this film, I don't know if they're sadistic necessarily. Like, I think, hey, that's your sense of humor, but I think it's a bit immature. Like, that's all I think.
It's a very immature film.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the thing. A lot of this film's comedy relies on the physical comedy. There's a lot of, and also there's awkward pauses in this movie where they're waiting for the audience to laugh.
Yeah.
So like, there's a joke in this film, and then like there's someone like a character does something physical, stupid, and then there's a 2-second pause, and then the character says some dialogue, and it's
Yep.
because like back in the day they would have like had that gap for like cinema audiences to laugh. And watching this at home, it is so awkward, and that happens a lot in the film.
I think, yeah, and I think I agree. I agree that there's moments that like are kind of awkward, but my favorite things, I think some of my favorite moments in this film that I like find funny or I can see the humor in, even if I don't laugh out loud, I can go, that's funny, like that's getting
Yeah.
at something. Are the moments when like the hard cuts happen? Like, so the moments that like a moment like doesn't even like
Yeah.
come to a conclusion, but it just ends and it goes to something else.
There's no
Like,
resolution.
And it's hilarious. Like, that's funny. Like, that's really funny. And
Yeah.
and some of those like hard cuts are really dark and twisted.
Mm.
Like, and that's I really appreciate dark humor, and there's like quite a bit of it in this film. And I'm like, oh, like if it was more of that, I think I would really love this movie. But like, it's juxtaposed again by like this assault of stupidity that like
It's
I
so
just
dumb.
yeah, like, and part of me is like, oh, it's enjoyable, but the other part's going, why the fuck am I watching this? You know what I
I know.
mean?
If
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I'd watch this again. Like, to be honest,
Neither,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
should we?
Do we want to go to spoilers?
Should we get into it? Like, yeah, like.
Is there
So,
anything we're missing?
like, we could talk about soundtrack and non-spoilers, but like, it's good.
I-
like, it's pretty
yeah, I
good.
like
Soundtrack's
when
pretty good. The
I
music's
liked-
actually great in this film, I must say.
Yeah,
Also,
I-
Donald Sutherland's in this, so a young Donald Sutherland. He's really great.
I love
as
that
the professor.
I love that first monologue he gives about
In the class.
yeah, about Milton's Paradise Lost.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, how like, and again, like more of this, please. Like like more juxtaposition of like characters and things, because the juxtaposition of that monologue to like other things we learn about that
Yeah.
character is just great.
He has a
Like,
very
that's-
interesting
that's
arc,
That's
actually.
great writing.
Yeah.
Whereas I wish more of the characters were a bit more like that. Let's say.
Same.
Yeah. But the main characters, I wish they were a bit more like I like probably a lot of the side characters in this film a lot more than the main cast.
Oh, same. I agree with you.
Yeah.
There's also a young Kevin Bacon in this film.
God, that's funny. It's odd.
Who's
like,
barely in the movie, by the way. Like,
yeah, but it's funny watching
But he's
him do
there.
his thing.
Isn't it? Yeah. It's like old Kevin Bacon. That's like.
He gives his old footloose wink at one point, and I was just
He
like,
does.
God, we're not in the
Yeah, they break
80s
the
yet,
fourth
Kevin.
wall in this film. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm like, okay.
But yeah,
Oh, and also Indiana Jones's girlfriend.
yeah, I was gonna say,
She's in this.
Karen Allen. I
Yes,
think.
Karen
Yeah.
Allen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
He plays Marion Ravenwood, and yeah, I could like.
She's
she's-
not in it that much, but like
She's solid.
she's pretty good. Yeah, she
Yeah,
does a
she's
good job. She
solid.
looks identical to what she does in Indy. So like,
It's crazy, isn't it?
yeah, I was waiting for like Harrison Ford to rock up and just like swoop her away from the college. She's like, well, because you know in Indiana Jones 4, when like Indy is like a professor in the college in the 50s or whatever.
Yes,
and he
yeah.
could just be on this campus. Like, that's another thing as well. I was really like, no one at all mentions like what they're studying or even what this university is. Like, is it a military academy?
I think
because they
that-
do military drills, but it's not a military academy.
I
is
need
this?
I need to do more because I'm not even sure where it's meant to be set in the States.
Same. I think
Um,
it says in the title card at the start, but I've forgotten. Like, it's just some random small town.
But not only that, I think there's one character that's asked at one point what she studies, and she says she studies native cultures. That's the only thing. But she
Yeah.
doesn't even go to the same university. She's at another university.
That's
and
right.
but it's also to make a joke of something that I can't talk about in this
No,
section.
not in this section. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, so it's a bit of a mixed bag. It's a
it really is.
bit of a party mix of lollies.
It's
yeah.
like I'm trying to think of what context I would recommend this film in, because like if you would, because this film is credited of like starting the frat boy genre, and like you can see a lot of films that borrowed from it. But honestly, like when I was watching this film, I'm like 22 Jump Street has done this better. American Pie Better House has done this better. The best film of this genre is Everybody Wants Some, which is a 2016 film by Richard Linklater.
I've never seen it, but
It's
Linklater
remarkable.
did it.
Linklater did a film like this in 2016. It has like a young cast. It's very similar to this, but it's about them winning a baseball comp or something like that during college. But like it explores a lot of the college stuff as well. But that is easily the best of these movies and that kind of stuff.
I'd say still there's moments in this film that are great, like are really quite strong. But again, they're almost they're not quite sketches, but they're like little jokes that would be on like, say, like a one-liner on SNL or something. You know what I mean? Like from this crew that was kind of like that.
Speaking of SNL, like John Belushi's in this film, and
like,
who founded SNL. So like,
that's what I mean. Like that kind of that comedy kind of group or fraternity, let's call them, that kind of spearheaded that culture that then grew like throughout that period in time. Like this is them just like being them.
This is
like
them just fucking about.
Yeah,
like,
that's right. Yeah, and having fun.
But like, so classic scenario we have. It's a Thursday night. You're sitting on the couch. You're putting on Netflix, and you see Animal House rock up, and you're there with the missus, or you're there with your mister, and you say, should we watch this movie? Should we put it on and watch this film?
For me, like, I'm surprised I'm going to say this, I'd say give it a watch.
I say don't.
Difference
of opinion.
I'd say give it a watch because I'm thinking about it, and I think it sparks a good conversation. Regardless of where you stand, where you find it funny, whether you hate it, whether you're offended, I think it's worth a watch just to see.
You'll definitely want to talk about it.
You'll definitely want to talk about it. It's one of those movies that like you'll watch and hey, you might walk away and love it. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I think
it's too outdated. I don't think.
Yeah, but I think it's worth watching to spark that conversation.
Yeah, you will have a good convo from this film.
Yeah.
I know. I'm gonna stick with my no. I'm gonna stick with just. Watch some. I said yes to Rocky. Oh, would you watch Rocky over this? Ooh, good question. Maybe.
I'd like to add this to our format. Actually, I think it'd be really cool if like each week we said, should we watch this over this?
Over like the predecessing episode, like
so and then we kind of
like
have like a little format of like or like a time like
we'd have to rank every movie. We're it'd be nice. Yeah,
I think it's fun.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
So what would you do with this then? Would you rather weekend? Oof. Would you rather watch Rocky or this?
Oof.
The more I think about Rocky, the more like this film. I think because this film has more than what Rocky does. So like,
I'd watch this over Rocky.
Yeah, same. I'd watch this more. I think I'd be more entertained.
Yeah, and I
think Rocky's a better film narratively, but like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like yeah.
Okay, let's as a story. Rocky has a story.
Yes, there is a story in Rocky. Good work, Sylvester Stallone. You have a story in your film.
Good job. Good writing. Yeah.
I put a story in my film, huh?
But all that being said, like I think I'd watch this over it because I think it's worth sparking that conversation. I don't think it's necessarily a good film.
No, it really
has
isn't.
It has some moments that I think are kind of smart and kind of funny, but they're tiny moments in a whirlpool of stupidity.
Oh, I know.
And some of that's fun in a fun way, and some of that's kind of horrifying. But it's worth the watch, I think, just to experience it. Yeah,
100%. Now, before we also finish the rating, we have to do our amazing segment. Hey, look at this film's poster.
Look at this film's poster.
It has a poster.
I haven't seen this film's poster. Okay. I've seen it like from afar.
So I've got the poster up here. I know how good you can see it, but it's quite colourful. It's once again a classic 70s poster with the white border and a white background. And it's a mural, isn't it? Like it's a collection of
like this posters remind me of another point that I wanted to make was that the character Bluto, because we didn't talk much about Bluto.
Is that John Belushi?
John Belushi, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And every time I hear about this movie, it's always that it's the
John Belushi.
It's the John Belushi show. He's so funny.
I don't know.
And for me, it's if you took him out of the movie, it wouldn't
change.
And like I'm looking at this poster,
he's probably for the final prank, but like
he's probably the most featured, most prominent character on this poster.
He was the most famous at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah, probably. But I'm kind of like, why? It's a good poster though.
Yeah, it's a good poster. I like it. I like it. It looks like something someone doodled in like the book while they should have been watching a lecture. You know what I mean?
It reminds me of like a Where's Wally kind of. Yeah. But an R-rated Where's Wally?
Where's the weed?
Yeah, pretty much. No, it's a good poster. Really good. Whoever drew that.
I do like that though. I would definitely hang that in my house. That's definitely better than the Rocky poster. I think.
For sure.
Yeah. Good poster, quality poster. I love the slogan as well. It was the Deltas against the rules. The rules lost.
Oh god! I mean, like, how do you even slogan this film? Like,
yeah,
you got that job.
It's just dumb shit. The movie, like,
Oh yeah, the cartoonist did a really great job on that poster.
They did actually, yeah. So well done, cartoonists.
Yeah. So with that, let's rip the other Band-Aid off. Let's get into these spoiler section.
It's a spoiler.
Oh no! All right, let's get into it.
Where do you start with this film?
Oh, so I was saying to Nathan before we started the show that most of my notes from this film were basically just scenes.
Yeah.
So I knew that was that scene, so I could recap it.
There's a lot of scenes in this movie. Like...
I just looked down and the first note I have is the guy who plays the Dean, and I guess the character of the Dean.
Yeah.
Like I really like that character.
I love him. He's
like,
so good because when you get introduced to him, it's like evil music. It's like classic, like cartoonishly evil music, and he's like, "I've been expecting you," and like he like has like evil mood lighting.
He was hilarious.
He was funny.
He was so dry, but he really reminded me of I wrote my note is the Dean reminds me of Liam Neeson. The kind of like
Liam Neeson would do well in that. Yeah,
and it kind of reminds me of Liam Neeson in that I think it's it's one of Ricky Gervais's shows. I think it's Life's Too Short.
Oh yeah, that's right. When Liam Neeson comes in to meet with Ricky Gervais,
it was that
and
kind
Warren
of comedy,
Davis.
that dry, just like deadpan, like character that takes themselves way too seriously. But he just had some great moments.
Oh my god, it's like they're under double secret probation. And the guy's like, "What?" And then he just mentions it later on to the boys in the house, and no one bats an eye.
I can't remember the line, but there was one line that it was probably the first time in the film. It was near the start that I laughed, and it was a hard cut away from him. And he said something that I think he meant to be really profound, but it was kind of stupid. Like, and it was so good. Yeah. So I really enjoyed the character of the Dean. But that was my first note. But the rest are just kind of.
It's just like random scenes. Like I like the way this film starts. It establishes it very well on because you see the nice posh like college and they're interviewing all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's talk about political correctness in this film because there's the opening scene where like they go to the nice house and the two losers, for lack of a better word, like rock up and they want to try and get to the nice one, and the leaders put them like into a corner where there's like these like international students and then a guy in a wheelchair, and like these losers are like on the same level as these Indians and like these Arabians, and then like the guy in the wheelchair who doesn't look as though he's entirely with it. I'm like, if that joke was in like a movie today, that would not fly. You'd have, all sorts of people going, that's offensive to those groups. And like,
yeah, and then the studio would apologize and it would probably be erased from the film.
Yeah, exactly. But it stands and it sits in that film, and like, and all the women are like dolled up in this film, and they all have like those beautiful 60s bobs and that kind of stuff. With political correctness as well. Let's talk. I want to also segue to women in this film. So I said before it is deeply misogynistic, and I might retract that a little bit because this film does not hate women. This film is a celebration of the beauty of women, if anything, from the male gaze, and this film is dominated by the male gaze. But moving away from that kind of leftist interpretation of it, I love like how like dumb it is and how like raw it is with its attention to women. Like I love the scene where John Belushi like climbs the ladder and he just like watches these girls, like the classic like naked girls in the female fraternity, like having the pillow fight and that kind of stuff. And then like he like jumps his ladder across, which by the way was so fucking loud. Like how did no one hear that?
Yeah, for me that was like, I think the whole scene was meant to be kind of a joke, but also kind of showing here's naked women on film. Woohoo, we did it. But
and like it would have been like shown for boys at the time who just like who at their VCRs would have been like, whoa, like
I mean, like it's the first time that's kind of like acceptable to have like nudity, I guess, in like in cinema in the West. But which reminds me of Life of Brian, because Life of Brian's not Life of Brian, Many of Life has just got naked women everywhere. But the funniest moment of that scene is when he jumps the ladder across, because it's so loud and so like
loud.
and then more focused on the pillow fight. Like that was funny, but at the same time, like I don't know, I didn't really enjoy that scene because I was just kind of like, oh well, It's
It's uncomfortable, isn't it?
It wasn't even that. I just don't like the character.
So I really did not like John Belushi in this movie because he's a pig and he is a proper pig. Like the scene where that girl calls him a pig and he just spits food out of his mouth. It's like, what are you, a zit? And he just like, and he just spits over like the table of people, and then like he gets charged out of the room.
Don't get me wrong. I think he has some funny moments in this movie, but I like that he looks like 35. Like
he looks so old in this film.
I kind of love that. Like he's just like he's the what character does he remind me of? He's the Brick from Anchorman. He's the character that just makes no logistical sense.
Like, how do you exist?
But like, still at the end, he's the guy that like becomes the senator or whatever the line says. Yeah,
that's
like
right,
they're like, you're just like, what? Like, it's the WTF character that like it's good. It might as well be an alien in this movie.
Like literally.
But I love and let's compare them again, like to Anchorman to this. It's like I love Brick. But I don't love this. I don't love this guy at all.
He doesn't have any really endearing qualities. Like he tries to cheer up the boys like near the end, but like he just does it like a dumb drunk way, and like he just slobbers about, and I don't know how to feel about John Belushi because he is so revered, and sadly he did pass away too young. From the speedball overdose, but you see him in this film, and you're just like, you're bonkers, like you're mental, like you're literally mental in this film.
Like I said, there's some moments that like I genuinely laughed at. I was like, oh, that's funny, but I can't name those because when I think of him in this film, it's more that I'm just like, oh, like again, it's in excess. It's this like stupidity in excess that's brutish. And
but like this film does have a lot of laughs that I did. Like this film is funny. I laughed so hard at the scene where they're doing the military training, and like the two guys are just randomly playing golf on like university, and they're like, "Fuck it, we should just like hit a golf ball to distract like the guy." And I thought it was gonna hit the guy's head, but I didn't think that it would hit the horse's ass. And the way it plays out is amazing. Like it's so funny. Like that was one of my favorite scenes. But then in reverse, one of my most like shocking scenes was like the horse prank. I was like, whoa. And like, cause the boys are like, oh yeah, nah, like there's blanks in this gun, like it'll be fine, that kind of stuff. And then, another reason this film is like, what the fuck? It's like when the horse has a cardiac arrest, like, the frame literally freezes.
Yeah, they stop they can't. Obviously, they can't animate it or like do anything. So they.
But it's the
freeze
worst
that frame.
effect I've ever seen in a film.
I love it
because it's like someone just pressed the pause button and like the horse is like mid motion, so you can see it's like hairs in midair, just like stop. It's like time has stopped.
I absolutely love it. Like I think
it's stupid.
like not even in a funny way, but I love that like that was the solution back then. Like I just love that. Like I love that the frame just stops and the sound keeps kind of going like of like the horse going into cardiac arrest, and I was like, "Whoa, that's fucked up!" Like
it's so fucked up. And the next scene, the headmaster's just sitting in the office, and like no one bats an eye. There's like 4 horse legs just sticking up.
That like, but again, like and
it's never mentioned.
That's what's so good about it though. Like the dark humor is hilarious. The guy that walks in the chainsaw when they're having that meeting in that scene because they can't fit the dead horse out the door, so he goes to cut it in half, and it just hard cuts to something else. That is hilarious.
It's so
like,
stupid.
That is so stupid and so funny. Like more of that, please. Yeah. More hard cuts. Just keep them coming.
It was well edited. I'll give it that. I will give it that. Yeah.
In places, yeah.
In places, yeah. Just randomly like going over this film. I love Donald Sutherland's arc in this because one of my favorite scenes was like when he just started smoking weed with them, and it was very intimate. And the film actually had low energy for like one of the rare moments in it, and you actually got to explore the relationship between the guy and the girl, the main couple of the film, and meanwhile, like the professor's just getting like high with the kid, and he's like, "Oh, what's like the universe and like your marble, like pinky, all that kind of stuff."
It's interesting because like that wasn't my guess where that was going. And I guess this is more in regards to Katie.
Yeah, when she ends up sleeping with him.
Yeah, like
that was a real shock as well. That was a good twist
because again, like these little things are placed throughout films to like give you like so nothing should ever really be like such a shock that like you can't really see it coming.
Yeah.
Because when you should be able to a good like kind of like
A
thrilling
good
moment.
film critic.
Well, yeah, like
Yeah.
a good film moment
Not
is
the
like.
way that are we, Brenton? Like,
But when something's planted earlier on,
Yeah.
like that's kind of respecting your audience. Yeah,
it's Chekhov's gun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is in this film because I picked it up. There's the scene with Larry, Katie, and I can't remember the second leader's name. What was his nickname? Was it Boone?
Oh, something like that.
I think it was Boone. Yeah. So they were discussing the professor and saying, and Larry was saying how much he thought he was a great teacher and whatnot, and the girl was kind of on the similar page, and she gave Larry a look of like, oh, someone kind of understands me, and I took that as, oh, she'll end up with Larry. I was like, oh,
I was
so
completely oblivious.
That's like, I was honestly like, oh, I kind of, but that look was more for the fact that someone else sees what I see in the professor. So it made sense, but it wasn't where I saw it. Like, it wasn't in my head where I saw it going,
Yeah.
but like, God, yeah.
God, yeah. I felt so sorry for him, and at the end when she rocks up, because that's not their relationship's never resolved as well. Like she just rocked up at the end of the parade, and then it's just left.
And the title card at the end
open-ended.
just says they
Oh
get
wait,
married.
yeah, they're married, they're divorced.
Divorce, which
That's
makes
right.
sense. Yeah.
I actually really like those title cards. I thought that was actually well done.
Yeah, it was kind
that
of
a good
like
laugh.
it was kind of like American Graffiti, but
Yeah.
I thought worse.
Oh,
Yeah,
way worse. Yeah.
yeah.
American Graffiti. Oh yeah, American Graffiti is a way better film than this.
But at doing those like final title slates of like the characters, yeah.
And you see where they went and that kind of stuff.
Because for me it was because of like half the characters I didn't give two shits about. So I was like, can we get to the characters that I do care about to see what they end up doing?
Same, yeah, because there are
Yeah.
characters you're really into and not, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I was so into the guy who snuck meat out of the supermarket and picks up that checkout chick.
Yeah,
and I was so into that relationship, and it just hit me like a brick wall when like she's just lying on the field and she's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm 13," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like,
Yeah.
because also earlier in the film you see a headline in a newspaper, and I wrote this down. You see a headline that says young child molested in town. Like there's a scene where he reads a newspaper, and I wrote that down because I thought that's so funny that there's this headline that like hangs onto frame for a bit and it's never mentioned. I'm like, oh, that's weird. But then later on, she's the child who was like allegedly molested early on because she goes back to that guy's house for one night.
That was a weird ending to that whole thing. Like, and it
But
wasn't.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. It had no narrative justification.
I mean, a little bit, like a tiny teensy bit, but it wasn't so much the 13-year-old bit that got me. It was that they then ended up together like nonchalantly at this final event that happens in the film.
Yeah.
And then she says to her father that this is the man who molested me the other night. And then he says, well, we need to talk about it. And I was like, what's going on? Has she brought him to the father like with the promise of like that they're going to have a relationship and he's okay to have a relationship with someone that's significantly underage, which whatever, okay, that's his decision and that's her decision. And they're going to have a discussion about that. But why would she then say, this is the man that molested me? So as then my brain was going, is she trying to like blame him and like doesn't actually like him and like is angry of the way that he treated her? And then I got confused and was
I
like...
think they just said it because it was funny.
Yeah, and then I was like... And then I thought, I'm giving this way too much thought.
Yeah.
And then I was
You're
like...
thinking way more than the writers did for this
But
film.
it was such a shame because I did like
I like
Larry.
them as a couple.
I thought Larry
Yeah.
was a...
He's a good dude, actually. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that scene where he brings her back home and he actually doesn't sleep with her and he puts her in a shopping trolley out the front. But by the way, like you see her naked, she's not 13. Like,
Oh, no. Like,
No.
But that's part of the...
obviously they're not going to put a naked 13-year-old child in this film.
That's
like,
part of the... It was such a just...
Yeah.
Like, and then she's 13.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And
And you're
that's-
just like,
That's bad writing. But like...
yeah,
like,
exactly.
again,
yeah, it's like she woke up and it was all a dream. It's like that kind of level
Yeah.
of justification.
Though, like, again, Tom Holtz's, who's a great actor's portrayal of Larry is great. And you can see why he then goes on to do great things.
Yeah, exactly.
That actor, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and you know what? I really invested in him probably more than anyone else. Like,
Yeah.
because he actually has a proper arc.
Yeah.
And
I was invested in Kent, Flounder at the start.
yeah.
I was like, oh,
Actually, no, I don't like Flounder at all.
I was in the first scene. I was like, oh, he's actually breaking the norm and he's actually trying to get into this in that very first
With
scene
his shit brother.
when in the Omega when he actually like goes, I'm not going to stay in this corner with the losers, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like he has prospects.
agency,
He's
like,
like
yeah.
he wants, and then he doesn't. He's just
Yeah,
stupid.
he just goes back to the and like
yeah.
I like that scene where he's at the top of the stairs and that guy like bursts him through on a motorbike and he just rides up the stairs.
Oh, D-Day, I think his name was. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, he was again like he was just in the film to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's just a shame, like because like if every one of these characters had been like a real character and like it could have had some.
It could have had
moments.
weight. Like this film tries to explore segregation at one point. And like,
yeah,
that's a weird scene, like a really weird scene where.
Oh, you mean the jazz bar that they go to?
Yeah, the jazz bar, yeah. And because I love that scene where the jazz singer was singing at their college event in the Togas, and it's like, you make me wanna shout, come on, you know that one, and like you're sitting and you're watching it, and it's all fun, you're like woo, like you're in the event, and then like 20 minutes later you go to that like black club, and they're just like awkwardly all sitting there, like no one's enjoying the date, and then like these African Americans come up to them and they're just like, oh hey, can we have your girls? And then they all just like run out. Like, what's the purpose of that scene? Like, what are you saying?
Yeah, and that's my biggest issue, I guess, with this whole movie is this that like there's not enough care given to just like there's a lot of like and then this happens because it's funny. Yeah. That's fine, but.
Because this film could have been so much more.
I
like,
know,
especially when like the headmaster.
Because the chainsaw thing, for example, I find funny, and that's kind of thrown in there to just be funny.
Yeah.
But what makes it funny is the fact that like these moments that are funny are like because dark, bad stuff is happening, and everyone's really nonchalant about it. And the more that I'm thinking, this is coming out as I'm saying this, but I think the reason I find that so funny is because I can relate to it because that's what we as human beings do. Like, there's bad stuff happening, and you kind of ignore it, but it's still there, and so like then that's something relatable that I can find funny. Whereas leaving 3 or 4, I can't remember, like girls in a like it sets it up as a dangerous situation, whatever.
And you know what?
And leaving them isn't a joke.
No, it really isn't.
Yeah,
you're not laughing at it. Yeah. That's the thing. And like, you know how you mentioned that like that all that darkness and laughing at it is like while all this bad stuff is happening and then just laughing at it. I think that's such a strong metaphor that they could have really ramped up when it came to the theme of conscription in this film. Like because you know how the headmaster kept on threatening them, like, you boys will serve in the Vietnam War if you don't like get your shit together. If they had played with that theme more, that the reason they're doing all this ridiculous pranks is because they're trying to distract themselves from the horror of being conscripted to go to war. If they had really ramped that up as an overall theme for the film, this film would have been way more intelligent and actually had something to say.
I agree.
Like if they justified the reason these frat boy houses were being as wild as they were because they wanted to distract themselves from being conscripted, that would have been a much better film than us seeing them do dumb shit for the sake of doing dumb shit.
And maybe that's what they got. Maybe, but again, this comes back to, I think, the reason we're questioning this so much is because obviously for some reason, I think when you watch a film, like, you really notice obviously the director's intentions with everything, and that comes across to an audience regardless of anything. Yeah. So if the intention was, and we're assuming that the intention for a lot of this was just something funny, something stupid to put in there. Like, it's because, like, it doesn't give it, not so much the time, but it doesn't give it, like, that little detail or something that elevates it to something maybe more. Or even just, like, even if it does fail miserably at that moment, like, you can see the intention was kind of there for it to be something more. And the fact that we can't see that is concerning, because everything you watch or anything that you consume that's media or entertainment, like, you're constantly going, what's the intention of this? Like, and it does matter, like, what that intention, because what we're talking about now is, like, did they intend it to be this way? Yeah. Or it could have been something more. Yeah, so it's kind of like we're kind of, I guess, criticizing the director or whoever or the group. Yeah. Them being like, it could have been something else.
It could have.
And what was the point?
You got to remember, like, this is like a dumb movie for the sake of being a dumb movie.
I understand that, but I'd say Monty Python is dumb at a lot of times, but it still has like a flow and like almost a meaning, like, I guess.
And because so many films have copied this film subsequently, and we've seen them first, seeing this original one, it just doesn't hold up to the new stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like I'd rather this group do what maybe I brought it up before, but Jackass do. Like Jackass, like how they do in those Jackass films. They don't.
At least they're very blunt about what they're trying to do.
They don't. Yeah, they don't. They just like, here are the pranks, here are the things, we're just going to do it.
Yeah. And like that's it. Whereas this film tries to frame a narrative around it and it just falls apart.
Yeah.
Like, and like, there are bad films in this genre. Like, have you seen Road Trip?
No.
Okay, it's like it's.
I haven't seen a lot of films in this genre, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have, because I know before I went to college, I like marathon like a lot of college movies. I'm like, oh
Right.
boy, this is what college is going to be like. And like, there is some truth in this film of what college is actually like in real life. And obviously, everyone's college experience is different. But yeah, I watched a lot of these films, and like Road Trip is like one where this guy wants to like drive across America to see this girl that he wants to like have sex with, and like and Donald Sutherland in this movie, if you've seen Road Trip, listeners, like Donald Sutherland is Tom Green in the movie Road Trip, like identical, like they are the same character. But like even watching that film, which is a worse film than this one here, like
okay. Wow.
like at least it's blatant about it, like you know like what it is. Whereas with this film, like I feel like it has these moments where it almost actually tries, and then it doesn't.
And that's why it's so conflicting, because it's like, man, I wanted more of that. But fuck, I would have rather it just been one or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather just be like, don't watch this. Because, like, you know, it's all just stupid and, like, it's all just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And if you're into that, it's worth a watch if you're, like, with a bunch of mates and you're drinking or something.
That's
and you're like,
so right, yeah.
But it's not that at places. Like, it could be something more and you're like, oh, more. Yeah. It's like, I love, like, speaking of characters, again, I think the side characters in this succeed so much more. Like, I like that, the military kind of student that is a member of the Omegas. Like, I thought he was kind of like he was a caricature,
such a dick,
but it was
though.
interesting.
Also, why was he such a dick?
Because he kind of he was kind of a psychopath. I thought. I'd like genuinely. I was like, this
Didn't
guy.
Say he became like a psychopath.
Yeah,
or something like
and
that?
that's why I was like, that slate was powerful, because he, even though he didn't necessarily have a beginning, meaning, and end, it gave like a point to him.
Yeah.
So that he was kind of, and I think that's
like,
where
watch out for people like
he's
this.
where you've got that idea of conscription from. Like, simply him being in the movie and being the way he is. And like, because he's the one that's obsessed with the war. He's obsessed with the war the whole time. And again, like the war, like, again, I'm just saying this at the moment because I've just seen the film. Like, and I'm thinking my thoughts at the moment. I'm saying my thoughts as I'm thinking. Like, there's more of what I'm saying. Obviously, I'm thinking my thoughts.
Anglais, like.
But it's such an interesting idea that, like, this guy that's so obsessed with the war and thinks it's going to serve him maybe for his career, for his fulfillment in life, I guess,
that's his
is
meaning.
then slaughtered by his own men in Vietnam. Like, that was kind of
that's a dark card, isn't it?
Because he was a psychopath. He he puts live rounds in his rifle and goes to kill another, like, innocent person on the street
at the end
of this film.
We'll talk about, actually no, let's go talk about that prank, because like the final prank where they
is this I'm assuming this is when you say terrorism, this is what you're talking about.
This is am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No.
Is this no? I'm not. Like, because they get expelled finally. They should be expelled from the first 10 minutes, and like
that should, again, like, it was like inevitable. Like, why weren't they expelled?
Yeah, I know, it's baffling. And like I love that scene where they go to court and it's just them just all being dicks. Like they're all trying to out-dick each other.
I really didn't like that scene. Like, the first 3/4 of it, I didn't like. The moment I started liking it was when Otter got
actually got the chance to talk.
And he did the speech and went at the education system. I thought that was interesting. I was like, and it was funny too. Like, it was a funny idea of like, oh, that's how he's going to take him down. But I was also like, is this what it's about? Is this just all this irreverence because they can't stand the education system? And it's like, screw you.
Yeah, I like that scene because I've been in that in real life.
Yeah.
So in college we had like a boys' court where we would this sounds kind of bad out of context, or actually with context, we would like grab boys who had like had rumors about them doing stuff with girls, and like all the boys in the college would gather around this one big room, and we would like literally make a court, like a kangaroo court, of putting this one guy in the center of the room who was on trial, and we'd be like, oh, Jacko, you have been sleeping with Rebecca, and Rebecca slept with I don't know, Liam, and they're actually a thing, so you've now slept with this chick while these guys might be having a thing. And then we would literally just grab someone's smartphone and then just like slap him in the face with it. And
that's horrible.
It's horrific, and that's it's so bad. Or like we'd be like, you have to do like a nudie run in like the corridor tonight, or like, you know, all these like stories you had of college. And like I've been in it, so when I was watching it, for me it was like nostalgic. I'm like, oh, I remember that. And I remember like, because when you're in it, thankfully I never got pulled up into the center, but like you're shitting yourself because like the next person could be you. But like, I know, watching that, it kind of reminded me of that. And yeah,
I did like the end of that scene, but yeah, the start I was kind of like, this is just This is just like, I don't,
Yeah.
I kind of, I just thought it was kind of boring. I liked going into it. I got excited going into it because they were all dressed up and going in their ties, and I was
They're
like,
already.
this is gonna be a great scene, and then it kind of wasn't. And I was like,
No.
oh. And
But-
again, the end kind of was strong when Otter got up, and then maybe I just liked that character. I guess I don't know.
love him so much. I seriously want to dress like Otter. Like his clothes in this film are on point. Like he looks so cool. Like he's got all the different colors. He's got the turtleneck. Like the whole film. Like I want to own a turtleneck now. Like he just pulls it off. He's got a cool haircut. Like
turtleneck and a blazer. Like go for it, man.
oh, like I would not look good in a turtleneck or a blazer. I'd look like some wanker on the street in Sydney. They'd be like, oh, no, like Nath, you gotta change. But like. Oh, and he just like the way he picks up women in this film, like he's just a lady magnet. Like the ethics behind the scene where he pretends to be like some dead chick's ex-fiance or something like that. I'm like, because immediately he's doing it to pick up a woman, but it's so out of nowhere that this scene gets introduced.
At first, because it's such again the setup for it. Like again, this is a good moment. Like they have the setup of like the newspaper that he's clipping that he's gone. This is the chick I'm going for. Like this this girl's just died. But I didn't think it either until about halfway through the scene. I saw what he was doing. But and I remembered that shot of the clipping, and I was like, oh, he's like found this person. And then I didn't like. I guess this is like me judging the characters, and I kind of understand that. But still, I'm kind of going. I like where it was going. I thought it was dark where it was going. That this kid is like willing to to ruin like the identity of this dead person that can't even like stand up for themselves for his own personal gain.
Like it's fucked up.
So he gets the date, let's say.
Yeah.
And then he keeps with the narrative. And it's just really messed. Like after that point, it's real messed up. And then her reaction to the whole situation isn't very kind of, let's say, realistic.
No,
you can call it that.
No.
And maybe she just wants him. I guess.
She still wants him at the end, even when they don't. Even because he kind of almost has sex with her, and then like she ends up, they end up leaving the car.
I could understand. I can kind of understand. I was like, I could only justify it for myself if only she was really into him, and like that's why she went in the first place. But it's set up of like that he's like victimizing himself, and I was like, oh god,
like this is messed up.
Like
mate.
yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Like it was messed up to begin with, and I was like, that's funny, that's a good idea. Like it's not like again, it's not morally right, but like it's funny in the sense of like that's really dark, and like who would do like such a thing? Oh my god, like. And this guy's at that level, and then like I don't know, it just kept going, and it wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it could have been. Yeah,
no, exactly.
As a moment, I guess. In the movie. Yeah.
They're like those kind of empty moments. Like I don't know, like when the angel and the devil appeared on the shoulder at one point. I'm like, I don't need this shit in here. Like I've seen it time and time again. Like
Emperor's New Groove did it better.
Oh my god, Emperor's New Groove did it way better. Emperor's New Groove perfected that shot. It will not get any better than that. And like also because like the CGI of like the angel and the devil in this movie is like horrific. Like it's where the character's looking to look at the angel is just so above the eye line.
Thank God the angel won that. Like knowing what we know by the end of the movie.
Yeah, if he actually had slept with a 13-year-old, like
oh man, I thought of that. I was like, oh god. I thought that in the moment though. I was like, yeah, like listen to the angel here, buddy.
Yeah,
come on.
She's past out. You don't want to rape it.
Again, it was one of those moments that I was just
even if she was
like,
an adult, you don't want to rape this woman. Like it's terrible.
It was one of it was one of those moments in the film that I was like, similar to Rocky. There was a moment in Rocky that we had the same kind of thing. It was like. Oh my god! I hope to God.
Oh yeah,
this doesn't go where
the second film in a row where
I was like,
where we're both like, is it gonna be rape?
I was like, I just don't need to watch that. Like in this,
God, no.
like
God,
because
no.
Especially in this, because everything was so irreverent and wasn't given much care. I guess in that sense, yeah. Which is why it's so conflicting. It's so odd that like I still would say watch it because I think this is the reason you need to watch it to have this conversation to be like. Fuck, like
this is our job, Brenton. Well, not I say job in the loosest of sense, but like we enjoy talking about films. Like I don't know if like other people like would have this length of kind of conversation around it.
Yeah, it might be a 2-sentence summation and then be like hell no or hell yes or whatever, and then leave it at that. But I don't know. I think these conversations are interesting and fun to have because like it's fun to get at the heart of what's going on. Maybe in the creation of this, but then also like how that kind of lands on us as audience members. It does 20 years or more in the future. Yeah.
It reveals something about yourself. Like Yeah, I love the Christian girl who like is from like the country she's like dating that guy.
Yeah,
And I love it
she's a Southern belle. Yeah,
she's that Southern belle. She's
yeah.
that and when she goes, I love those scenes where she's in the car with her boyfriend and she gives him a hand job, but she's wearing gloves while she gives him a hand job.
Yeah, again,
Like,
more moments like that
like,
that are just
that's
simple,
great.
characterful, dark kind
and
of
you see
things.
him like peel off the gloves and like because he's not coming up.
And then
Is he supposed to be gay?
I thought so.
Because they said at the start of the film, like, you're homosexual, right? Or whatever it is. Because you see him get changed in the room with that guy.
I thought it was hinting at it at a lot of points.
And then she just can't get him up the whole film. And I'm like, see, that's funny. Like, I laughed at that. I thought that was great.
And it was
so rudimentary.
that scene was well written though, in the sense that like if we're taking, which I'm pretty sure he's meant to be a homosexual.
Yeah, because that joke is subtext. That's why it works, because it's not so blatant. Like, you have to think
because
about it.
she's there having a nice time with him and wants his attention, and yet that whole scene, all he talks about is these other boys. And he's like, he's looking up into this, and he's got nothing to do with her. And then, so when the gloves come off at the end of that scene, and it hard cuts away from it, it's just like, what? Like
I laugh.
Funny.
Like, it's great.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like,
yeah.
I was. You know what? There's also a lot of. One thing I didn't like is that there are a lot of car crashes in this movie. Like a lot of car crashes. Like
That's that was one of the
I
moments.
wasn't laughing at it. I was like, you're damaging valuable property. Like, repeatedly. Like, everywhere.
It was like, again, it was one of those things again, because we're saying like film in excess, like these characters are like just nut jobs and all, like just, it's an animal house, they're causing havoc to everything. But that was the point where I was like, I was about 3/4 of the way through the film that they were driving and like smashing into things irreverently, and I was just like, okay, I'm kind of getting tired of this.
Yeah, like,
I'm
this
kind
is
of
vandalism, guys. Like, you know what I mean?
And then we went into terrorism.
Yeah. So let's talk about that final prank, because I want to talk about it for a bit, because like because there's a lot going on there. Like, one thing I loved about this scene that I didn't think I would was when he trapped the band in the alleyway. Because it's
that could possibly be the best joke in the film.
Same.
I thought that was so funny, and the way that it comes back to that, like at the very end of that whole sequence, and the way it was done, like, so he has the baton, and then they follow him, and I was like, that's weird, and I was like, oh, but like it's gonna set something up, or maybe they're in on it.
Yeah.
And then like when it's not that, and the band's I guess just stupid and will just follow that conductor anyway, and do whatever they do. And they'll continue to do it. Like, that was such a funny idea. And when the trombones, like, snap, like, from the pressure of the brick wall, like, and the pressure of them walking into it. And, like, their instruments are just snapping in half, but they're still all just walking into that wall. And then it comes back and they still are walking into that wall playing. It was so funny.
It was so funny. I think I got my biggest laugh in the whole film.
That was the best moment in that whole sequence, for sure.
Oh,
I don't know about the film. Like, I'd have to watch it again. But,
but
let's talk about what's actually going on in that sequence.
Because there's a lot going on. And like the car that plows through, like it's literally like running over people, and it's like it's a dangerous like environment.
There's children around.
Oh yeah. Also, like, I know how they're getting away with it in the first place, because you see like the character like walk forward and like tie the chain onto like the float in the full eye line and sight view of the cops. Like, the cops are watching them set up this prank in full view, and they're not intervening.
I was honestly expecting, I thought the joke of this moment was going to be that it was setting it up like a terrorist attack. Like, the whole thing was like, that was the joke. Like,
it's like a scene from The Dark Knight.
Yeah, like they're coming in with their briefcases in dark clothes. Like, it could be a bomb or something. Like that's where your mind, I think. Well, maybe that's our modern
I thought there was going to be a bomb at one point, because like they do throw like the sticks,
but maybe
sticks.
That's our looking into it. Like, the 70s.
Us
so like maybe
maybe
that's us like imposing something.
Back in the 70s, it wasn't terrorism; it was good fun.
but maybe the joke was. I thought the joke was meant to be that it's setting it up that it's going to be a terrorist attack. But it would have been like they would have known about terrorism, like, because of there's so many other cases that are happening at that point. Anyway,
exactly.
But yeah, so the joke is that it's terrorism, and then I thought it was just going to be something like super harmless and really stupid. But then it just turns in. They basically create anarchy, like literal
literally.
Anarchy. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, everyone's running wild. Like, the people just firing. Like, Kevin Bacon gets run over at one point.
I'm pretty sure multiple people die in that scene. Yeah.
Like I was like, when John Belushi is in like the Jack Sparrow like pirate outfit, and he's like sliding down like over like down through the rope. I thought he was gonna like die. He was gonna die, or like kill someone.
But again, like that moment's like it's one of those moments that like is just it's there for the moment. Like why did they? Because he gets dropped off in the car to climb up that tower. But what part of the plan was that meant to achieve? Like why drop him off? Like again, like I just don't like I don't. It's like the moment in Rocky, like that build up to that montage, and it earns that moment. Like that Jack Sparrow moment isn't earned because it's just there to have the Jack Sparrow moment and get him out of the car, get him on top of the building so he can then swing down that banister and like get the girl. But it's not. It doesn't earn it. It just kind of happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, like because you mentioned Rocky in the sense that, like this film is building up to like that final fight. Like in this film, I was not waiting for the grand final prank.
No.
I was waiting for these boys to be arrested. I'm like, get out.
Same.
Like,
I was going. If they get out of this scot-free, it could work in the sense of like that's the point as well, that like we don't really turn an eye to that.
Yeah.
But I was going, but no, like I kind of want to get them caught and see them get justice, and then maybe find some levity out of that situation because they're
see what the point was to this film.
and maybe like they learn a lesson. Well, not so much learn a lesson, but like they learn the lesson, but they're still able to be hopeful and like have levity and like have fun. And I was like, maybe that's where it will go, and that's where I'd hope it would go.
Yeah.
But they don't face any real consequences.
No, they don't. Like that's the thing. Like that guy gets like captured by the cops at one point, and then he like points his finger, and the cops run the opposite direction, and they just run away. You know what I mean? It's like, this film was just so devoid of realism. I don't know. Like I can see the argument of like Nathan just shut up and enjoy this film for being a dumb film of like pranks. And I'm like, and I would love to look at this film like that, but like, because this film tries to be so much more in so many different areas, I can't just like turn my mind off. Like when I watch a Transformers movie, for example, and I have seen all 5 Transformers movies, when I sit down and watch those films, I turn my mind off and like give those films zero criticism because I know I'm just sitting down and watching dumb CGI robots fight for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And when I walk out of the cinema, I'm like, I got what I came here to see. So when people complain about those movies that they have no narrative, I'm like, why are you expecting narrative in the first place? When I see a film like this, especially from John Landis, who made Ferris Bueller, who made like these amazing comedies.
What do you call it? Blues Brothers.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like genuinely, remarkably narratively interesting films with also like with Blues Brothers, like insane pranks
and great characters. Yeah.
Yeah, great characters. Are you kidding me? Like Blues Brothers are fantastic. That's one of my favorite films of all time, Blues Brothers. And like
this conversation again, it just comes back to intention.
Yeah.
Like again, we wouldn't be as critical of this, but if the intention is to make a Transformers movie which is dumb fun, for maybe teenage boys specifically, probably, like you can turn your brain off and you can go, that's what the intention is. I'm 10 minutes into this movie, I understand that, and I can enjoy it for what it is. But when something tries something, or even it's not clear what the intention is,
and when
that's when you have to be critical, because you have to question why, one, this was made, and two, for your own kind of sanity, I think, to get something out of it. And not that you have to get something out of everything, but this film's bringing up questions, and not that I necessarily need answers, but fuck, they just need to be justified in some way.
Even if the questions are like half-assed or half taken care of. So I'm like, so that's why I say no. That's why I'm saying no for this film. But like,
I'd say yes to have this conversation.
But I so understand that argument.
Yeah.
Is there anything more in spoilers you want to talk about?
I'm just gonna quickly go through my notes.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that there's a lot of cases where people probably should be really badly injured. The only ones that real cop injuries, apart from Otter in the scene, were actually kind of, and I hate to use this term, but they were used as villains throughout the film. So like the Omegas and the Demons and stuff. So like that guy, the military guy, had like a neck brace and stuff, and and he fell over, and I was like, oh god, like he's in a neck brace. There was a great
John Belushi.
That was the line that they hard cut away from the Dean. I wrote it down when he says, he uses the reference, the metaphor of it's like shitting, it's like shit through a goose. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
I can't even remember the context, but it was that line. It was getting rid of them. It's like he was saying, get rid of the guys. Like it was that whole like secret probation thing. He was like, Get rid of them. They're out of the school. It's like shit through a goose, and it hard cut to something else. But he said that with such conviction, and he totally believed in shit through a goose, and I thought it was so fucking funny. I laughed out loud. I like that. Yeah, I like that no one looks 21 in the movie.
No one looks 21.
I like that though, because I was like, God, like.
It makes it seem less realistic, so that probably helps with its like.
I mean, they should look like us, really, but like
they should, yeah.
But they don't.
We are the age of these characters in this film, and like you think we would be the ideal audience it speaks to,
yeah.
But like you and I are just like they're just, like if we met these people in real life, we would run in the opposite direction because we'd be killed if we stay around them. Like John Belushi, I swear he throws something through a glass window like every single scene, like. It's just dangerous.
There was one moment that I thought it was funny. Like there was one like where he smashed something, and I was like, "Yeah, that's funny." And it was the same, and the building up to it wasn't that funny when they're taking all the stuff, they're getting rid of all the stuff from the house, and he's going like, and he keeps screaming like an imbecile. But then when they toss him the bottle of Jack Daniels, and he downs it like he downs it. And then he goes, and he smashes it on the car window. That was perfect. Like that was so good.
That was very good. I'll give you that.
Like,
yeah.
Like the timing was just perfect.
Yeah.
Military guy's great. Dead girl trick ellipsis. Oh yeah, and my last note is the marching band is bloody hilarious.
I mean, like,
yeah, I think we've covered it all. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so. Should we? So you've heard our thoughts on it. Should we do our next section?
Let's do it. Let's do the next section, which is
critics. What are they saying?
What are they saying, Nathan?
This week, the critics who have seen the film National Lampoon on Rotten Tomatoes, where we go to criticize Rotten Tomatoes. The tomato meter sits at 91%, so it's pretty high for this film. Like, critics are going...
what percent?
91. 91 of all professional film critics in the world would recommend that you watch this film.
I would have guessed 70s. Somewhere in the 70s.
Like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Audience says 89%.
That's still high.
It's vastly overwhelming positive.
So high.
I think also a lot of these critics may feel nostalgia for this film because this was their like Jump Street.
Yeah, like
you know what I mean?
Like this is held up in quite high regard as terms of like by a lot of comedians and whatnot. Yeah,
I swear, like so many like comedians and the middle-aged comedians like praise this film. Like it's like their like Star Wars. It's their comedic Star Wars.
I can see why in the sense that like there's a like. Again, like I think there's so much potential in it, but like so I can see why, but. Oh boy, I can also see the other argument, I guess. Yeah.
So here's some critics who said some good things. So R.L. Schaffer from IGN DVD says 9 out of 10, easily one of the best teen sex comedies of all time, and quite possibly the best frat comedy ever made.
Is that a genre? Teen sex comedies?
I guess the American Pie films could be called that, or like the Jump Street films to an extent. Maybe like I don't think it's like a subgenre. Maybe like comedy, like teen sex. Maybe could be like
I'm just laughing. Teen sex comedies.
Teen
like
sex, yeah.
That's very specific.
That's almost like a porn category that just happens to be folded into film. You know what I mean? Like it's just
that's like insinuating they made like a porno or something and there was comedic elements.
Yeah,
in it. Like I don't like what
that's exactly
the fuck? Like what category is that?
So like, is this the best teen sex comedy? I prefer the Jump Street films more, maybe because they're more modern. But
as in the reboot of that franchise. I love those movies. Yeah.
I love those movies.
I want to get a third one. Like
same.
Already.
Yeah. Did you know there was that rumor they were going to do a third one and cross it over with Men in Black?
Yeah.
I wish that. When I first heard that news, I'm like, that's the dumbest thing. They'll ruin the Jump Street movies.
And then you thought about it.
180 it. Best idea. Best idea they've ever done.
I was exactly the same. I read that and I went, the sequels and all this crap that Hollywood's doing. No, like just leave it alone and do their own things. I just want 23 Jump Street.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it and I was like, that is a great fucking
genius.
idea. Like that's so creative.
It's such a you would never guess as a direction for the franchise to go. It perfectly works with Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. They could still make it because they still haven't rebooted the Men in Black just yet.
But could you imagine if it was like a quartet? It was Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum, I've forgotten the Men in Black.
Will Smith,
and Tommy
Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah. God, I went to say Tommy Lee Jones and I went to say Charles, and I was like, Charles Jones. Who is that? Yeah.
I would
Mind
love that.
blank.
I
Yep.
would love it if they replaced Will Smith with Jaden Smith. So it was Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum, Jaden Smith, and then you replace Tommy Lee Jones with a dog, the talking dog. That's the four that you got to have.
Could we make it though that the plot is that like Will Smith's stuck in like Jaden Smith's body, and, like the whole, and, like
It's like
they
the
gotta
film,
get him out.
Yes, I would watch. Are you kidding me? If that was the movie's trailer, even if that was the premise, you didn't even see a child, but that was the film's premise, I would be in that movie theater in a heartbeat. And it was still Phil Lord and Chris Miller who directed it. Like,
because it wouldn't take itself seriously. It'd like, oh man,
and it's so stupid, and like, and they still have to pretend to be undercover cops at some point. Like, it's. I would love that.
What are other films in this genre though that are like that you would recommend? Because like I said, I haven't seen a lot of films in this genre, and
so out of the American Pie films, they're probably the closest thing to this. First one's great, second one's better. Beta House is fun. Bandcamp is the most fun you'll have with all of it. 3, The Wedding is boring. Reunion's boring. The Book of Love is terrible. That's like my recap of the American Pie movies in one film.
I've never seen one of them. Yeah.
You've never seen American Pie?
I feel like that's going.
Is that 20 years old? I should look this up because we could do an episode on that.
I'd say so. It's not early 2000s.
Sure, it can't be 20 years old. Oh, maybe. It's iconic. I'll give it that. It's 1999. Next year it turns 20.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow, that puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say watch American Pie 1 or 2 over this movie. The best movie of this genre is Linklater's Everybody Wants Some. It's
I really want to watch
genuinely
this now.
great film. It's very smartly written. It has a really good heart to it. It has really funny moments. It's very similar to this, but the character's actually 3-dimensional.
Is it an ensemble cast, like young cast?
Yeah, ensemble young cast. I can't remember any of their names. They're all unknowns, but by the end of it, like they're well known. The main guy has done something else since.
I'd love to watch it because I don't know, like Linklater for me, he's a bit of a mixed bag. Like,
yeah,
but I do like him. Like, I appreciate
the Before
him.
trilogy. That's genius.
That is genius.
Absolute genius.
Yep,
like
for sure.
Some of the best films ever made. I love them that much.
Some of the best screenplays too. Yeah,
hands down.
Yeah.
The fact that you can have 3 conversations and have those be a movie each, and like that's a trilogy.
Fantastic.
That is the best writing. Like, easy.
Outside of this, I'm an actor as well, and like I remember going through acting school, and like just whenever we do film classes and stuff, like often I'd go to those films and just look for scenes.
Just watch Ethan Hawke.
Those scenes are just great. Like, so well written and just
so damn well written.
What a trilogy, man!
I know, because you don't think it, and you're just like, and each film just goes in a new direction, and it's more of the same, but it's just beautifully explored, and you age with these characters. So, because I watched them all for the first time, like back to back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. Oh no! I did it like 1 week one film, the next week another film, another week the other film. So it was like 3 weeks.
I'd seen the first 2, and then when the third one came out, I watched the third one. But
What's the best?
I love the last scene of the third one. Oh, I like them all.
Same.
But I love that last scene of the third one. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so real as well. Like
they're all just insanely raw and real, and those characters are just fantastic, obviously, and those actors have got incredible chemistry. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, what a find! Like, even back in the day when you got both of them.
But another Linklater film that I love is School of Rock.
Yeah.
Bloody hell! Like, I haven't seen it in ages, but
same. Yeah.
But I hope it holds up. But like,
same. That's a 3 came out. Or something like
I think
that?
so. Yeah, I saw it. I think I last saw it probably 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. And then it still held up. But it's a musical now. Random.
It is. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
By Andrew Lloyd Webber of all people.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that guy. He writes a lot of stuff. Andrew Lloyd Webber, like he did Cats to Singing Trains.
Did he do Phantom of the Opera?
To Phantom of the Opera.
That's right. Yeah.
To Jesus Christ Super. Like
he's done it all, hasn't he? Like, yeah.
He's gone. Yeah, I can. For me, Andrew Lloyd Webber, the image I get in my head. I hate Cats, by the way. It's my least favorite musical. Like it's
I don't know anything about Cats, so
when it turns 20, there's a film version of it that's like a recording of like I think it's the London stage show.
Oh, okay.
When that turns 20 years old, we'll watch that. Like it's so bad. But
okay.
I just my
spoiler alert for the Cats episode.
my image of Andrew Lloyd Webber is just him sitting at home on his piano writing the score for that musical with 6 cats and him just like who does that? Like it's based on like poems by T.S. Eliot. Like, oh, like.
Okay, you've got my attention now. Like, I'm kind of interested in it now.
Check if that film version of Cats is 20 years old. We have to check, because if it is 20 years old, episode 3. No, I'm kidding.
We're doing Cats next. 1998. It's literally 20 years old.
I feel like we have to do it at some point this year.
Oh my god, we have to do it this year.
Obviously, surprise for our listeners, but
That's amazing. It's
awful.
God.
It's
That's terrible.
I'll let you make up your own mind.
Okay, yeah.
But, go into it. It's got some great music at some points.
Okay.
So I look forward to that. Another episode for another time.
Bringing it
back to the frat boys.
Back to the critics. So Heather Borner from Common Sense Media, she wrote 3 out of 5. John Belushi's raucous toga party isn't for young kids. This film is not for children. You would not give this to a kid to watch.
Was that her review?
Yeah, that was her review. She gave it a thumbs up, but that was her review. She just said, "This toga party's not for kids."
She gave it a thumbs up. Like, oh, that's not a review. Anyway,
these are proper film critics. Another positive one is from Colin Kennedy, from Empire magazine.
Oh, okay.
Who wrote 4 out of 5, arguably the most influential comedy of our time.
Nope. I disagree.
Nope.
Yep.
Monty Python wrote.
Python and the Holy Grail. Yep.
Yep. There you go. That was quick. Some negative critics. Mark Palermo from The Coast magazine gave it 2 out of 5. He said, a dated, rarely funny celebration of being spoiled and white.
Oof. That's bringing a whole lot of other issues into it that I don't know. Say that again. again.
A dated, I agree.
Yep.
Rarely funny. Well, maybe not rarely, but not as funny as you think.
Yep.
Celebration of being spoiled and white. You never see them like earn money in this film. Like they don't have like jobs while they're in college,
I'd say
you
if
know
anything, it sets white men back like 10 years. Like they're delinquents. They're not.
They really are. Like
again,
we're both white males and we're very offended by our representation.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of these films, people say like, oh, they like this is in excess. It's like Wolf of Wall Street. Like this is like celebrating this lifestyle. Man, I don't think like Wolf of Wall Street celebrates that lifestyle, and I don't think this does either. Like. No. God, like I wanted to see these kids fail. Like
same, I wanted to see them arrested by the end of the movie. Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that last point. Yeah. I think it's a bit, political, but it doesn't. Yeah.
And the last negative critic wrote, it's Dave Kerr from the Chicago Reader, who wrote, Dave says, good old Dave-o, he says, while the low comedy is undeniably effective, the film leaves behind a bad taste of snobbery and petty meanness.
Yep. That's a pretty good summation.
Actually, Dave's on the money, mate.
David, you're a champion, mate.
Dave from Chicago. Thanks, bud.
Good on you, bud.
Your 2 cents are welcome here.
What do the audience think, I wonder?
I only wonder
what the audience think.
If only we had some reviews from the audience ready to go.
Oh, if only. What'd they say?
What do you want for Christmas, Brenton?
Not this movie.
I want audience reviews. Okay, so Nathan S., so not me, gave it 5 stars. And he said, even with dated and offensive jokes throughout, this movie is a classic and very funny comedy. Knowing this was one of the first college party movies also adds to its acclaim. I will give it that. It
I will give it.
A lot of stuff.
I will give it that as well. I wouldn't
Don't make good.
I wouldn't say, although like some of the jokes are, what does it say, outdated and offensive?
He said like even with dated and offensive jokes.
Yeah. See, I think jokes can be offensive and be fine. So
yeah.
But like I get where he's coming from. It's more that it's offensive, like could be seen as offensive and isn't really. There's no real point to it.
I feel sorry for the horse that copped it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they literally like. They perform like cruelty against animals, like you know, and just like leave that,
Jake M gave it 5 stars, and he said Animal House just does not run out of steam.
Oh, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
he's right about that.
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes it a 5-star film, but
hey, what's his name? Jake M.
Jake,
if you need steam in your films.
Oh boy, choo ahead, bud.
Oh boy,
all aboard the steam train.
This train ain't pulling into the station anytime soon.
All aboard the fun train. Toot toot. Oh. Jonathan S. Wrote 5 stars, and all he wrote was this one sentence: "Guess what I am right now? I'm a zit. Get it?" That was not the best line of the movie.
I don't think it was. Everyone says like a lot. I know a lot of people. They quote that is like one of the best lines.
People would. Oh, I disagree.
I mean, it's the way he says it. It's kind of funny. Get it? like with that voice.
I feel like if this film was made now, that would be a meme, like a relevant meme, but like it's not. Like, thank God this film isn't made now. Okay, so Julian M gave it 1 star. Brenton, 1 star.
Julian, what was wrong?
This is a weird one. Julian wrote, "Dreadful shite. Irish people. Warning this is supposed to be some kind of American rite of passage. They'll all bring it up. Just nod and smile." So Julian's saying Irish people talk about this film?
I feel like no, I think he's saying, is it he, Julian? Is that the name, sorry? Or Gillian?
Gillian.
So it could be, I think it might be female as well.
Yeah.
So if she's made, but I think she's saying that she's Irish.
Yeah.
And that she talks to Americans and they say this is a rite of passage and she disagrees. Which I was thinking that because I thought we both said Monty Python and the Holy Grail, or just Monty Python as, But I guess maybe because we're Australian.
Yeah.
Like, because American humor and I guess British humor are both...
We both love American and British humor.
I'd agree, but like, I guess I'm more influenced by British.
Also, by the way,
I appreciate British humor probably more than American. Slightly, although I love him. Like, I love American humor. I love Mel Brooks and I love,
That's the thing. Also, like, I love very offensive humor. For example, I love
Same.
Joan Rivers. I love the comedy of Joan Rivers. And she is one of the most offensive comedians out there. Sadly, no longer with us. And like... But at least she has intelligence and heart behind her offensive jokes.
But that's my point. Like, I think jokes should be offensive to a certain extent. Like, they should like pull out these like Ricky Gervais is another one that I think is one of my favorite comedians, and he's like offensive as well. And you should be able to, offend, like risk offending people to bring some sense of maybe truth or like something interesting or honest to the table that we kind of can reflect on. But when it's done with like intelligence and maybe respect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Whereas like
the film had none of that. Like
carelessness doesn't blend well with like just offending for the sake of offending, because then you're just offending with no excuse, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like to. It's not really excuse, but without reason, offending without. Yeah.
Bloody W, which I'm sure is not his real name, gave it 1 star, and he said, "It's got boobs, and John Belushi makes it worth a watch."
But he gave it 1 star.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's saying what we're saying, that it's not good, but hey, you should watch it.
It's got boobs and John Belushi.
Well, you should watch it to have the conversation about boobs and John Belushi.
I've seen films of nudity that are much better than this, and I've seen films of John Belushi that are much better than this.
Okay.
So I feel like that's not
Let's
justified.
leave it at that. Yeah,
and then
next one.
Last of the reviews. Shazzy C gave it 2 stars and wrote, "I would have liked this more, but I think I'm a generation too late." I mean...
That's not really giving an opinion, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Shazza,
I understand.
you do you, Shazza. Yeah.
You do you, Shazza.
Yeah.
So that are the critics. So final thoughts, Brenton.
Oh, we should do title talk before we get to final
how
thoughts.
did I forget? Holy shit!
Yeah, because I feel
talk.
like I want to do a title talk on this one.
Because this, do you want to lead this? Go.
Animal House.
Were
they escorted a cow out of the house at one point. So there was an animal in the house.
I didn't even think about that.
There was also a horse. It wasn't in the house, but it did go into the university campus. But there was a cow in the house.
There was a cow in the house.
Yeah.
I forgot about
But is it also being metaphorical and saying that these human beings are the animals?
They were like animals.
The frat house.
There was a line at one point in the film that said, "You're acting like animals" or something like that. Well, she calls him a pig.
Ooh.
Like that could be that.
What a metaphor.
Whoa. You never would have guessed that straight off the bat, would you?
Oh.
This Animal House.
I've changed. It's one of the best films. I've just changed my mind. It's one of the best films ever made.
Wait, this film's got animals. Wait a minute. This is the new Dr. Dolittle.
Animal House. Yeah, it's an. I guess if that's what else.
What else would you call this film?
John Belushi and a bunch of other dudes were smoking weed one night and
wrote this film.
But when I like compare these guys to like something that we'd have now, it'd be probably like James Franco and his mates nowadays.
Oh yeah,
that do
like a Pineapple Express. Like
but I enjoy Pineapple Express more than I do
way
this.
more than this.
Oh,
yeah.
like even like This Is the End, or even Your Highness, I enjoy more than this. If you've seen Your Highness.
Oh wait, no, I have seen Your Highness
with Danny McBride.
You and I saw Your Highness together because back in high school you told me about this film, and so we watched it together.
Yes. I can't wait till that gets 20 years old and we do an episode on that.
We should.
It's going to be a
'Cause
while.
I only ever saw the once with you.
We watched it in drama class.
We did. That's
we
right.
did. Yeah.
It's got like a Peter Dinklage in it, doesn't it? Like before.
No. No, I know where you're getting Peter Dinklage from. It's got Charles Dance in it.
Oh yeah, sorry.
As,
Pardon me. The other dwarf actor.
No, Tyrion's father in Game of Thrones, Charles.
Oh
yeah.
Charles. Yeah.
Dance,
I know who you're
yeah.
talking about.
And James Franco, Danny McBride, Natalie Portman's in
Charles
it for
Dance,
some reason.
that's it. Yeah. Damien Lewis is in it.
Yeah,
Justin
yeah.
Theroux's in it. Zoe Deschanel's in it. Natalie Portman's in it. Like
it's such a random cast, but
I had fun with that movie. When was it? Oh, it was made 2011, Brendan. Like
we got a while.
we
got a decade.
2031. In the year 2031, we will review this movie.
We got a decade.
Yeah.
So final thoughts?
Don't watch it. There's better shit out there.
There is better shit, but watch it. If you wanna, a conversation around the dinner table with the fam.
Don't talk about this. Talk about something else.
Watch this movie. I don't know. By fam, I mean it could be.
Talk about something with the fam. There's billions of other movies you watched before this.
It could be, with the friends. I don't know. I've enjoyed. What I'm trying to say is, I think it's worth watching it because I'm glad we had this conversation.
We were gonna have this conversation anyway. Like this is our job.
But this specific conversation.
Okay. Same.
I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed this more than Rocky. I'll give you that.
Wait, the film or the conversation?
The film.
Okay.
Actually, no. Rocky's got a special place in my heart.
Rocky's 10 times the character than
Because
any
I
other characters
think
in
of
this
just
movie.
Rocky and his pet fish, and I'm just like, nah, he's a good guy. I'm like, nah, he would be so out of place. Rocky would beat the shit out of everyone in this house. In this animal house.
I feel like he wouldn't even.
That's a crossover that should happen.
He wouldn't even put himself in the situation that he would be 10 leagues, in distance of this house. Yeah.
Honestly, Apollo Creed would do well in this frat house. I think he's got that theatricalness that he would do well. You can see him rock up in the frat house like his bloody George Washington get up.
No, he'd leave the marching band. He'd be.
Oh
in
my
the
god,
end.
yes, he would. Oh, okay, this needs to happen now. This crossover film.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh
What a
my
crossover.
goodness. Oh, okay. So cool.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for listening, guys.
That is National Lampoon's Animal House.
Animal House. Keep them all herded up.
Well, look, it's been fun. I've had fun. I'm hope you guys have too.
Yeah. Let us know what you think about this film. Find us on Twitter, just to put in Classic Movie Banter. Let us know what you think. If you're listening on iTunes, give us a like.
It really would mean a lot.
Write some nice things.
Yeah.
If you want us to do anything different, or you got any films to recommend for the next episode, shoot us some messages. We'd be more than happy to do it.
Please do. Always looking for new films and
always
things to watch. Yeah. It's good. Yeah.
So I have been Nathan.
And I have been Brenton.
And this has been some classic
movie banter.
Wow.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.